Why they're doing it. There are doubtless loads of environmental factors, cultural factors, and various outside pressure, economic pressures, all this sort of thing. But at the end of the day, no one can choose for you not to get married. That has to be between you and the person you're in a relationship with. And if you choose not to do this, if you make that choice, then you're making a bad choice. You're going to have to live with the results of that choice.
I guess I don't like this idea that if you take somebody that was born middle class, shows up every day at school, shows up to college, gets the degree, that this person somehow made superior choices their entire life to somebody that ended up in the prison system just because that other guy, just because, of course they didn't?
Of course they did. They must have made superior choices.
Well, but I mean, like, how many choices do you really have to make?
Well, the choice to stay in school or not is definitely one of them.
Yeah, but the challenges that you're facing are so much less. I mean, it's kind of like one guy has to jog a mile and the other guy has to jog a mile uphill, and then you go to the guy that had to jog a mile uphill, and you're like, well, why did you quit halfway, you retard? Like, why did you stop, dude? Like, you had the choice to finish, and it's like, well, fuck, it's a lot harder for that dude to make that choice than it is for the person that just kind of has to show up every day and isn't being presented with the same obstacles or opposition to the correct, quote unquote, correct choices that they need to make. Like, it's probably a lot easier when your parents are religious and you have to go to church and you're not supposed to have premarital sex and you go to an all-boys high school, right? I went to an all-boys high school, right? It's much easier for people like that to make the decision to not, get a girl pregnant before you get married or before you're ready for it versus people going to co-ed schools in a single-parent household with friends that are all fucking, that are idolizing a culture that's all about, fucking everybody. Like, I feel like there's a lot more going on there. It's hard to say that these people are just making the wrong choice,
You're right. That there is definitely the case that someone from a middle-class background is obviously going to have more natural advantages. But that doesn't mean that these are good decisions. And people who don't make these decisions, black people who don't make these decisions, do well in the United States.
Yeah, for sure. But that's like saying that white people that failed college and worked shitty jobs that take up professional streaming do well because I did well. Right? I'm not like, because that's what I do. I stream, but I'm not going to advocate for everybody to do that. You say that black families, you say that black families are doing okay, but that's the exception, right? The single parent households are much more representative of the black family community than these great middle class black families that are doing fine. And even in these middle class black families that are doing fine, even in these ones, they still earn 10 to 15% less than the white family. So even your shining example of black people breaking the cycle are still not caught up to white families. It just seems really naive.
Hang on. They will never earn the same as white people. They will either earn less or more because you live in a free society. To the idea of thinking they will earn the same is crazy to me. I don't understand why.
But a 15% difference that's dramatic enough that it's probably being explained by something else than random chance. 15% is a pretty big difference in income.
What's the difference between that and women making different choices?
What do you mean?
Well, we agree that there's a wage gap. I mean, if this is like the racial wage gap, why is that not also the result of life choices?
I don't think I've ever been arguing that it is the result of life choices.
I know, and I am. I think that it's probably life choices that put them in those positions. And don't get me wrong, it might be that they come from disadvantaged areas, and these areas don't have the sort of job opportunities that, say, some white kid in California might have. But again, I mean, I imagine there are people in Appalachia who have the same problem, and that's not a racial issue, obviously, is it? That's a poverty issue.
Sure, but
right.
I don't know, man. You've had 250 years for white families to build their wealth and their status in the United States, and black people had Jim Crow revoked in 1964. To say that, like, well, now everything should be fine after 1 or 2 generations, everything will just reshuffle. That just seems insanely. Well, that is what you're saying.
You're not representing my position accurately.
Well, didn't you just say that they had 2 generations, so they should be caught up by now? Is that not what you're saying?
Look, there is no catching up. Okay, this is what I mean. There is no expecting black people to be doing the same as white people in a free society.
Okay, but it's not like they're even like on the way to catching up or on their way to
$66,000 a year is not a bad income.
Just for the people that have bucked the system, though.
That's not people who've bucked the system. That's people who have worked with the system. The people bucking the system are those who don't get married, who don't stay in school, who don't stay within the bounds of the law. They are the people bucking the system.
Depending on the system they're a part of, though, that might be the
They're
expected
part of the
course.
system of the United States with jobs, rules, laws. You know,
The United States is not a homogenous society, dude. A kid growing up in the fucking streets of Baltimore is going to have a lot less opportunity to him than a kid growing up to two parents living in San Francisco. These people are going to make fundamentally different decisions, not because one is more intelligent than the other, one has more agency than the other, but because both of them are almost as much a product of their environment as they are whatever individual decisions they make.
Of course they are.
So then I don't understand, if you agree with that, if you had parents that were affected by Jim Crow, how could you possibly think that all of that will just be erased? And that's just Jim Crow. These are the least egregious of the things that were impacting.
Now.
Okay.
There are no kids in school now who have parents affected by Jim Crow.
Okay, but their parents were. I don't think that one or two generations is enough to just erase everything.
I agree with you. Maybe that's the reason that Black people earn like 12% less than white people on average, married families.
On average.
And white people who are single mothers who are white with children. I mean, that's
so,
you know,
like if you look at first, if we pull back and look at this from a little bit more abstract, do you remember 10 years ago how everybody was saying that overpopulation was going to destroy the world, that we were going to have 50 billion people, right? Do you know why that ended up not being true?
Because it wasn't factually accurate?
Kind of. Because as every single developed nation moves more towards first world lifestyles, what happens is it seems like people that are well off financially tend to have less children than people that aren't. And you see this repeated in every single country around the world. Every single first world country and every single like poor community in these countries are all disproportionately affected by things like birth rates.
Yeah.
So it seems
but that's not a race issue, is it?
No, but it seems to be very heavily tied into socioeconomics. I'm addressing the issue that you're saying where you're talking about, well, people can just make a choice. But it seems like you don't have the option to just flat out like make a choice. It seems like your choices are very heavily influenced by your background.
Of course they are, but the people still have the choice.
Or if you have sex, like there are lots of like stupid rumors around that, and the chances of you being impacted by a rumor like that are much higher if you're in a poorer community because you don't have access to good education and because your parents are probably stupid as well.
Yeah, I agree, and I totally agree with you. I think socioeconomics does play a huge role in determining the shape, or at least the potential course of someone's life.
So far more white people are in these advantageous positions than black people, so it seems like there is a racial... I'm not necessarily saying because of racism. I'm just saying that right now there is a racial divide in the United States with these issues.
I'm not saying there's not a racial divide or anything like that, but I'm saying that it's not actually about race. That's the thing. This is why I find...
But nobody wants that. Every time it comes up in Omaha, they call it the one district, one OPS or whatever, Omaha Public Schools or some shit. And every time it comes up, white people get mad as fuck because they don't want poor kids coming and shitting up their schools. So you just
okay, but it's not because they don't want black kids in their schools, is it?
No, it's because they don't want poor people coming and fucking up their schools.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a race issue. It's a class issue.
Sure, it is. But the class issue can also be divided along racial lines, which feeds into...
it can be. It can be. I agree.
And we agree then, I think we just agreed, that the socioeconomic background of black people in the United States today can probably be traced back to things like slavery or Jim Crow laws. Do we agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
So how does it not all plug together? Much the same way
I
that...
imagine it's something that people who are doing well do.
Exactly. Like people that are doing well will be more likely to get married than people that are not doing well.
Yeah, but I think that's the same problem that you're having, that you're attributing there. There is nothing stopping poor people getting married. And before the 70s,
we're back to this again.
Listen, kids dropping out of schools, they're joining gangs. I know that's due to bad parenting.
Okay, but then what you're just saying at the beginning of this argument, you said that I was removing their agency. Now you're telling me that they're making choices as a result of bad parenting. No, how are you not removing their agency?
No, they're expressing their agency, but they're kids. So
that's what this is. You're taking my argument from the beginning. This is what I said. Remember, I specifically said, how much choice does a 12-year-old have really when it comes to dropping out of school? Right? These are the same arguments that I used at the beginning of the argument.
Listen, I'm not talking about the kids. I'm talking about the parents.
Who were, when they were younger, kids who were being raised by parents.
They have every opportunity to get married. I mean, there's nothing preventing them getting married.
But you just said that bad parenting is influencing these children. So at what age does the influence magically drop off?
Yeah, sure. It influences them and they will end up making bad choices. But that's not to say they don't have agency.
But their agency is heavily influenced by their parents or their culture or their education.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Their agency is influenced by their parents and their culture.
Okay, so I don't think like, a young man growing up without a strong father figure is more likely to commit crime. In a poor neighborhood, I bet there is a very strong correlation there, because the kind of mother that would give birth to a child and not have the father around is probably the kind of mother that would raise a delinquent child. Right? Whereas if you control for socioeconomic issues, I'm sure that you could find a successful single mother that has children that don't grow up to become criminals. But the kind of person that's more likely to have a child out of wedlock and is more likely to not have the father in the life at all is the kind of person that's more likely to raise a delinquent child. This is correlation versus causation, right?
Look, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Right? And I'm saying I'm certain there is a causal link between the things I'm saying.
If there was a causal link between single parents giving birth to delinquent children, that means that I shouldn't be able to find successful single parents in wealthier areas. Are you saying that that's the case? Because that would be the definition of a causal link. You would be saying that single parents directly contribute to...
I walk that back.
Sure. Okay, yeah, that's fine, that's fine. What I'm saying is that if you back up a little bit, that people that are of a certain level of education wouldn't be making these choices. These are things that people kind of, quote unquote, choose because of where they're already at in life. That I don't think that if you put anybody through a decent education system, that in college they would be like, okay, I need to pick my majors, so I'm going to weigh the 25,000 pounds I could get on welfare versus, the 28,000 pounds I could get with this teaching degree. I'm not really sure what I want to do. Like, I don't think that these people exist, right? Now, I'm sure that there are people that are, fucked economically that probably take advantage of these welfare systems, but I think that these people would be fucked whether or not that welfare system existed. Like, I don't think that if you remove that welfare system, these people are all becoming electricians and plumbers, right? Or if you get rid of that welfare system, these people are all going to school, for the next 15 years to become the most highly educated people in society. These are people that are going to...
women would have normally got married.
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, that's true. It is true. In previous generations, they would have had to get married. They would have had no choice. They would have either got married.
If you're talking about forced marriages, then out of that, is that even any better?
I didn't say that it's a good thing. Look, I'm not arguing for moral good here, right? I'm arguing.
Sure. No, I'm just arguing that concept of living off welfare. When you present it that way, there are a lot of people that have no idea what welfare is or how it works. That there are people that look at these things and are like, oh well, all these people are just choosing to leech off welfare, so we need to take it all away. Well, that you're making it sound like these people are choosing welfare as an alternative to something else. Oftentimes, that welfare is all they have.
Yeah, but some of them are choosing this.
So, I mean, I'm sure there are some. I'm sure that I can find some white people that are pedophiles. It doesn't mean that all white people are pedophiles.
Yeah, no, listen, right? I'm not. This isn't like fraudulent or anything like that. This isn't them committing fraud. This isn't them doing anything illegal or not even really abusing the system. They're just choosing the system, and that's what the system's there for. If for like single mothers to have their own council house and feed their children, even if the dad isn't around, because we want a certain standard, a minimum standard of living for children in this country, and I'm sure yours. But that doesn't mean people aren't choosing it. They are choosing it. I feel like and they're choosing it often because they don't want to marry the person they've had children with.
Yeah, I feel like we're coming back to the same thing, that if we keep crossing paths at the choice thing, I don't think we're ever going to agree on anything else. If we don't agree on that, and I mean, there are legitimate arguments.
I'm not saying these aren't bad choices.
Okay, but but you're talking about these people are making these choices. And what I'm saying is that, like, not all choices are made equally. Like, again, that's why I'm saying, like, a person going to school is never, there isn't some chick growing up in Germany who's 22 years old, about to graduate with her bachelor's, who's going to, quote unquote, make the choice to, get, fuck one dude and get married and be poor or whatever, or something crazy like that, right? Or fuck a bunch of people and live on a welfare state. These people aren't making these choices. The only people that are, quote unquote, making the choice to live in these horrible, fucked up welfare states are people that are already fucked up. And so when you talk about these people are making the choice to do this, I don't know how much I agree with you, like, that they're just making these choices.
Listen, right? No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Someone who is on a career path of some form, who has finished school, they've gone to university, they're probably not going to make choices that are going to fuck up their life, right, and their future. Mm-hmm. But like you said, these people come from a situation where getting a council house, or like what would you call it in the United States?
Section 8 housing for
getting Section 8 housing. That's their goal. That's what they're trying to achieve.
I've never read anything that would give me any indication that this is a widespread thing, that people actually go out
Well,
and attempt to get
I
pregnant in
don't know
order
how
to
many it would
procure
be. I
Section 8
don't know how
housing.
many it
Like,
would be in the United States, but there are certainly more than enough people in the UK. And again, they're low class women. They're lower class, like working class women who aren't going to get
I
married
mean,
for
like
whatever
again,
reason.
it might be possible, but these are edge cases that I wouldn't really. I
Yeah,
don't
but
think it
the thing
does
is,
much to discuss them. Like, I
yeah,
mean,
but
I'm
the
sure there
thing
are
is,
people trying to abuse any situations anywhere. Like,
of course there are, but in the